almost unimpeachable. He wasn't a Christian. He was a Jew who worked for the Romans, having been captured as a Jewish commander. He then began to work for the Romans and essentially write pro-Roman history. There was no reason at all for him to substantiate the truth of the New Testament or the truth of Jesus. There was nothing in it for him. It would have actually been probably more direct for him, more conducive for him, given his position, to undermine Jesus, but he didn't. He substantiated Jesus, he substantiated miracles, he substantiated the birth of the church. And so Josephus seems to me, as a Christian, to be a godsend, and as a scholar to be unimpeachable as a source of evidence. Given that he had no dog in the fight, so to speak. He had no intention, nothing to gain by substantiating Jesus as powerfully as he did in his writings. You know, it fascinates me when people try to purport that Jesus is a myth, because even the enemies of the Christian church, and the enemies of the Jews for that matter, held that Jesus was a real human being. We have a number of Roman historians who held that view. We have a number of Jewish historians who held that view. I do not know of any situation in history where a person was believed to exist for centuries and then disproven. I've never come across that. I know of no academically credible historian who holds that view. And I think that what we have here is simply a wish taking the form of an academic opinion. The fact is that Jesus is appreciated even by his enemies as a living, breathing human being who lived approximately when the Bible said that he did, and did approximately what the Bible said that he did. So I think that what you have here is sort of an antichrist wish that's taking academic form and has no credibility.
In the book of Genesis, he is the beginning, Alpha and Omega. In John, he is the Word. He is also known as the bread of life, water, the Lion of Judah, the Son of David, the morning star, the light, the bread of heaven, Elohim, the stone the builders rejected, the rock of ages, the rose of Sharon, Daniel's will in the middle of the will, the seed of Abraham. There are several names by which he is referred, but the greatest of them all is Jesus. For no man comes to the Father except by him. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. His name is Jesus.
Do you not realize that even from a historical standpoint of view, even the enemies of Jesus believe that he exists? The atheists, the agnostics, the Buddhists, the Krishnas, the Zeus, all of these Western and Eastern religions really believe that Jesus lived and actually did the things that the Bible said he did.
Other 1st and 2nd century writers who wrote about Jesus as the Son of God, the promised Messiah, and the Lord of creation are Clement, the Bishop of Rome, the writer of the Epistle of Barnabas; Polycarp, the student of the Apostle John; Ignatius, the Bishop of Antioch; Irenaeus, the 2nd century Bishop of Lyons; Tertullian, a 2nd century apologist; and Clement, the 2nd century Bishop of Alexandria. Despite the overwhelming testimony from the early centuries that confirm the gospel stories, the higher critics continue to search for their historical Jesus.
The Jesus Seminar is a collection of skeptics and doubters who worked in theological professions in secular universities, whose purpose was to try and use literary, historic, and various other kinds of criticism to come up with what they could be certain was true in the Gospels, which basically meant that they were going to try and cut out anything that they couldn't believe. The Jesus Seminar has used faulty premises, faulty professional assumptions. They have been sloppy in their edits and their redactions. Their criticisms have been refuted with 20 centuries of apologetics from the Christian world. They've ignored virtually all of the textual evidence that has been accumulated over the course of 20 centuries. So the bottom line is the Jesus Seminar has no real academic credibility. 20 centuries of skeptics have attacked the text of Scripture, have attacked the Gospels. You know, if the same level of scrutiny were played out in the classics and were applied to Plato or Aristotle, we would have no classics. The texts would not be able to stand up. But the text of Scripture, and particularly the text of the Gospels, has been able to withstand every attack by every brilliant skeptic and every agnostic and every atheist. Every assault that has ever been thrown at it has been rebuffed. The textual integrity of the New Testament is a matter of record. The consistency of the texts over the course of time, the verification of the texts dating back to deep antiquity, and the consistency of the information is beyond anything else that we have in all of ancient literature. The fact is that we have more authentication for the biblical text in the Gospels than we do for Shakespeare's plays.